For more, log on to theGameNashville.com. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
This is Freddie and Harry.
Well, I love ESPN2. I played a lot on ESPN2 when I was at Louisville.
I love ESPN2 as well. You are not going to get me fired.
Unsportsmanlike 6 to 8 on ESPN2 every morning.
I know what happens. I get called to the principal's office.
I'm hoping one day Freddie Harry can be on ESPN2.
I agree. You guys are not going to get me called to the principal's office. Oh, so you like ESPN? Don't like where you work for anymore, huh, Freddie? Yeah, not doing that.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN.
We're getting going now.
The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what is a beautiful Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm looking around. I dropped something, but who cares? We got a good show for you today. We will meet the last major league pitcher to ever win 30 games in a season, Denny McLain, at 420 today. He won it in 1968. He won 31 games with the Detroit Tigers. That is a record you can take to the bank. Will never even be sniffed again. There are two pitchers, I think I'm right, that since then have won 27 games in a year. Steve Carlton with the Phillies, Bob Welch with the Dodgers, and I think that's it. Kelly Holcomb not with us today, but young Billy Derrick is.
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. I was going to ask about that record to see who has even sniffed it.
Nobody.
Incredible.
Has. Yeah.
That's
nobody
kind of incredible to think about. And I was starting to wonder, okay, why is he not in contention for the Hall of Fame? I guess.
Well, he had a very checkered career. Won the Cy Young a year later. I believe I'm right that he tied for it with Mike Cuellar of the Orioles, but his career went down the tubes. He was suspended at one point from the game of baseball by Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, ended up on kind of the scrap heap, and on July 4th, 1972, he pitched in Game 2 of a doubleheader in his debut with your Atlanta Braves, a team that could barely draw 10,000 a game at that point in old Atlanta Stadium. But just simply the mere presence of Denny McLain for Game 2 of a doubleheader on July 4th, 50,597, and I was one of them.
Wow.
We're going to see if he remembers it.
And when did McLain play?
Denny McLain would have been somewhere 1965 to maybe 74.
I was looking. There's a lot of black and white Denny McLain pictures.
Yeah, I mean, we're going back a ways on this. This is 57 years ago. And the scary thing is, I remember watching on NBC's Saturday Game of the Week when he won his 30th against the Oakland A's.
Kelly would have a few words about that.
Well, I'm just telling the truth.
No, that's pretty cool. The fact that 30, that's hard to believe. 30 wins in a season. I can't even remember a pitcher getting hardly to 20
Now in a 5-man rotation, about the most a starter can get is 32 starts. So that shows you how crazy the whole thing has changed. 1968 was the year of the pitcher. Bob Gibson went 22-9 with a 1.12 ERA, and that's when baseball made some changes to the pitcher's mound to try to get the hitting back into it. The pendulum had swung way too far the other way.
And there were probably some games where Denny McLain's throwing over 120 pitches, you'd imagine.
Back then you never heard pitch count. The first time I ever heard pitch count would have been, I don't know, early 80s, but nobody kept it. It was only, I don't know, mid-90s. David Cohn threw 161 pitches in a game and was really never the same for the next year or so. And that was the first time you really heard all the stuff about the pitch count.
Gosh, that's changed a lot now.
Sure has.
We ready for an update?
Yeah, I know you got some interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgagelady.usa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. I do want to remind everybody, I know it's early, but we are 100 days away from college football. So,
man,
just
that is.
If you're having a tough day, just think about that. We're 100 days away from college football, and
we're not to Memorial Day yet.
No, the schedule. I had this graphic pulled up and ready for yesterday, but I forgot to show it. And maybe we'll get to that later because I'm losing that now. But we'll look into that opening weekend schedule a little bit later. I do want to get to this. Obviously, the Titans schedule is out. If you're watching on podcast, we're showing that right now. They will travel to face the Buccaneers and the Falcons in the preseason, along with a home game against Minnesota. Of course, 3 preseason games now. And they'll have joint practices on the road in Tampa and Atlanta before those preseason games start. We knew who the Titans were playing. Now we know when they're playing who, the times. And speaking of times, no primetime games for the two-tone blue, which I don't think is a big shock.
Why are people so shocked by that? I mean, when you suck, this is what happens. And yeah, I did think they'd get a Thursday night game because of Cam Ward, but even that didn't happen. And so, it kind of goes to this thing of to the victor goes the spoils.
Yeah, home opener against the Rams on September 14th, and then another home game against the Colts. They got 3 straight road games, then a home game against the Patriots. It's a tougher home slate than I initially realized. Rams, Chargers, and who knows? The Patriots could be a lot better. You got the Seahawks later in the season, and of course the Chiefs come to town, and then the Saints December 28th.
There are not a bunch of easy ones.
No, but speaking of the Saints and the Browns also have no primetime games scheduled in 2025. So
yep,
Titans have some.
Yeah, to the victor goes the spoils.
Okay, that's what we got with the Titans. The PGA Championship kicked off this morning at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. Scotty Scheffler held strong in round 1, but he's not at the top of the leaderboard. Rory McIlroy struggled early. A lot of the big-time players. Schauffele struggled. He had a double bogey today. He's had some really good players struggle on what has been talked about as a tough course. But you take a look at the leaderboard right now, a lot of unfamiliar faces. Ryan Gerard is in the lead atop at 5 under. And then you've got a bunch of players tied for second at 4 under. Luke Donald, Ryan Fox, Alex Smalley, and Steven Yeager. Not a whole lot of familiar names. So this could be a weekend where you get an upset. You get one of the underdogs to win it in North Carolina this weekend.
The good news is apparently the weather is going to hold for the tournament, and we'll keep our fingers crossed on that.
Also in baseball, really interesting piece. Tony Kemp, former Vandy star and Centennial graduate, announced his retirement from the sport on social media earlier today. He played, of course, in Nashville with Vandy. He was on that 2011 team that was in Omaha. That was the Commodore's first trip to Omaha. We know how good he was under Tim Corbin. Played for the Astros, the Cubs, the A's, and the Orioles. And he, of course, won a World Series ring there in 2017 with Houston. So got a World Series ring, but earlier than I thought for Tony. Wonder what went into that decision.
So how many years did he play in the big leagues?
That's a good question. I don't have that down, but I mean, not crazy long. I mean, it wasn't a short career, but he did kind of bounce around a little bit and felt like he never could find a true home. And his play style, he was, I wouldn't say he was a great hitter, but he was great.
He could run.
Could play. Yeah, could run, could play the outfield, played a good infield. But Tony Kemp calling it a career for the former Vandy star. Speaking of SEC baseball, all the games this weekend start on Thursday night, tonight. And we've got a full slate. Tennessee is at Arkansas for game one of that series. That'll start at 6:30 at Baum Walker. And Liam Doyle not starting tonight. They've switched up the rotation a little bit. Marcus Phillips is going tonight for Tennessee. Doyle will go tomorrow. And then I can't remember if they've announced a starter for game 3, but they're switching up Doyle and Phillips. And that could just be Doyle. They're putting Doyle on his normal Friday start. But they didn't do that on some other Thursday series that started on Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds for the postseason. Kentucky's in town to play Vandy. That game tonight is at 6 o'clock. Vandy's also switching up their rotation. They're going with their normal midweek starter, Austin Nye, tonight, and then they'll go J.D. Thompson tomorrow, and no Connor Fennell this weekend either. So they'll go Cody Bowker on Sunday. But Fennell he's been roughed up a little bit the last couple of weeks. That could be a good thing for him. Elsewhere in the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma. That'll be a fun series in Norman. Oklahoma needs a win or two there. Auburn is at Ole Miss. LSU at South Carolina. Can Missouri keep it rolling? Can they stay hot? They're playing a desperate Mississippi State team in Como this weekend. Alabama is at Florida, and A&M is at Georgia. So that's what we've got in college baseball. Also, Baseball Reference says Tony Kemp played 9 years, actually, so longer than I thought.
Yeah, 3 in the minors, 9 in the majors. Anybody that gets to 9 has had a decent career, a very decent career. Yeah,
and he's actually been doing some games on ESPN Plus for Vandy, so I'm sure he'll stick in Nashville. In college football, an Ohio representative has presented a bill to prevent Ohio State games from being scheduled at noon. The bill would prevent games from beginning before 3:30 when a state university is involved, except for Michigan. So
here's a thought. You have nothing better to do in a world where we have all the issues that we have. This is what you came up with? Get a life. Good Lord. Are you kidding me?
I think it's about the big noon. They don't like the big noon kickoff. It did feel like every Ohio State big game was at noon. And I don't understand why Fox doesn't. I know it's a primetime game. They like it to follow their morning big noon kickoff. But let's play these games at night. I mean,
it's not that simple.
Well, what's the Fox night game? Why don't they just play the games at night?
Well, first of all, there will come a point, where playing at night gets a little chilly. Okay, so then is this guy going to say, well, we can only play at 2:30? And first of all, with all the different contracts that ESPN and Fox have, it's a big juggling act. The Big Ten is a conference located for the most part, in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
But look, I get that they'd like more, prime, middle of the afternoon, nighttime. But really, this is what your taxpayer dollar in Ohio is going for? Am I being harsh?
I don't think so. I mean, I get why they're doing this, but this does seem a little ridiculous. And in the story, there's actually Trey Wallace put out a story on Outkick, and he asked the question, what would be the penalty for starting a game before 3:30 Eastern time? A very big monetary fine. And
from who?
Let's see. Ohio Representative Tex Fisher is presenting a bill to state leaders in the hopes that Ohio State can get away from playing games at noon as opposed to 3:30 or later.
But here's the problem, Billy. The Big Ten contract with Fox supersedes his legislation or attempt at legislation. So while he can introduce that bill, Fox Sports is going to say, hold on, Tex, get a clue here. We've got a contract with the conference Ohio State is in. This is stupid. I'm sorry.
Tex, that's the perfect name for this story.
Dumb.
That's what I got for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got a little rant in there, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. Okay. After the break, Danny Evans will join us. I'll tell you up front, Danny will make it very clear that his opinion is that Pete Rose does not belong in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Interesting to note, as we go to the break, The Athletic did a poll of more than 17,000 readers. 54% said keep Pete Rose out of the Hall. 46% said open the door and let him in. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. You need their help. Dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Oh, yeah. That's good music right there. That's the best. We welcome all of you in. It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon in Nashville. Our buddy Danny Evans, former Los Angeles Dodger general manager, before that, longtime assistant GM with the White Sox, joins us from where?
Ames, Iowa, George.
Nice.
And I'm not driving. Yep, I'm not driving. Cars parked. Kathy's out and about, and I'm sitting in the car talking to you.
Okay, this is embarrassing that I'm asking this. This is very unprofessional. Are you on till 4 or 4:20?
4 o'clock.
That's what I thought. Okay. Then, Billy, you'll get a couple of questions. I'll get a few, and then we'll open the phones after the next break. You got it, Billy? Okay. So, Danny, I know where you stand on Pete Rose, so I'm just going to go to this. Did you ever think Manfred would do this?
I thought there was a possibility, George. And, you know, for the listeners and the viewers, my reasoning regarding my Pete Rose position is very simple. Everybody in baseball who has anything to do with the player side has to listen to and adhere to a major league rule that is read to everybody who has anything to do with the on-field performance of a club, where you cannot do anything to compromise the integrity of the game or the integrity of the outcome of the game. It's very clear. It's made simple to you. You know, should you participate in that activity, you are subject and likely to receive the ineligible list, and you get thrown out of the game. So everybody knows it. Bart Giamatti was the former commissioner of baseball who ruled at the time, and he had clear-cut evidence about Rose's involvement while he was the player manager. When it comes to Shoeless Joe Jackson and the 8 participants in the White Sox scandal for 1919, you know, that all that evidence is very clear. And Saber, which I am the president-elect of the board, has done extensive work on the Black Sox scandal, and it's very clear that Joe Jackson participated knowingly. There's tremendous evidence for it. I thought Manfred may do it at some time, George, But here's the thing that people aren't talking about that I'm going to throw a loop at you. Just because he's eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum doesn't mean he's on the ballot in December of 27. I think I could see a scenario where the Hall of Fame and its Hall of Famers decides he doesn't merit consideration for being on the ballot. The Hall of Fame now will be the sole decision maker as to his status on the ballot. And like the 54% in the Athletic, I'm a no. And George, I will tell you that most of the Hall of Famers will be a hard no.
Yeah. Can you imagine the pressure that committee's going to be under? The scrutiny?
I know, but I wouldn't mind being on that board because, George, you know, for me, if the integrity of the game is going to be compromised at any time, then what's the value of having a Hall of Fame? I mean, you've got to have integrity in the outcome of a game. We all count on that when we're being entertained by the game, by the sport. And once that is messed with, you know, what's next? So for me, George, this is one of the easiest calls of my career. Granted, great player. You know, you've been there. His stuff is in the Hall of Fame, but I don't believe a plaque is appropriate for Jackson or any of the other 14 people involved.
Do you believe this opens the door so that Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire will all get in while they're alive?
No, I don't. My reasoning is I think they're going to be in an even tougher electorate now, George. They had to go through the 300 plus sports writers to do a phenomenal job voting people into the Hall of Fame. The BBWAA, I think, does a great job. Now he has to be voted in by Hall of Famers, former executives, and people that are entrenched in the game. That's the committee that he gets elected in now. All of them, I don't think they have any chance at all. Their reputation is tarnished. It's no longer the court of public opinion. There's no longer the bipartisan situation. In some cases, you know, the entertainment side, these are their peers, and they will undoubtedly never let those guys in the Hall of Fame.
Let me try this one on you, because you are wired like nobody I'll ever get the chance to be around is wired into Major League Baseball. What was the closest Rose ever came to getting back in, and how did he botch it?
From what I understand, George, he was given the opportunity in a conversation at the MLB offices in New York where he would come clean, he would admit to his mistakes, he would be placed on the ineligible list for an indefinite amount of time and subsequently revisited. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't make the admission. I think he put Bart Giamatti in his grave. He passed away less than a month later. For me, it's atrocious what was made. And I want everybody to know I grew up watching this guy play. He was my dad's favorite player. I know him. I had his son on one of my teams with the White Sox. So Rose is not just a name in the history books for me. He's somebody I dealt with. I know. And for me, you know, the big mistake he made, George, was not only not admitting to it, but also for me having, you know, admitting that he needed to do penance for it, and he needed to be open about his mistakes and his blunder and him letting down his teammates, his players, the fans, and the game itself. You know, the game's 150 plus years old. We haven't had too many of these situations. And George, there's a reason. It's horrible. It's the worst thing from a competitive angle that can happen to the game. And he chose to just, blow it off. And him blowing it off has us in this situation today.
Last thing from me, and then I'll turn it to Billy. By way of a show that we're going to be a part of tomorrow at the Lebanon's Agricultural Center, big sports expo. The last 30-game winner in Major League Baseball history, Denny McLain, will be on the show today at 4:20. How did we get to a point where not only will we never, ever see another 30-game winner, but no starter makes more than 32 starts anymore if you do the math?
Yeah, and you know what? The careers of most of those pitchers who were toiling all those innings were shortened. There were very few guys who pitched into their mid to late 30s. A lot of guys went down in their late 20s, early 30s. With the advent of MRIs and the technology and, candidly, George, the investment you're making in their left or right arms, I don't think we'll ever have four-man rotations again. And I think we'll never have guys making 42 starts in a season. I don't necessarily think the game is better because of it, but I think the medical technology and the investments that we've made in these players force us to consider their shelf life. McLain had a very abbreviated career because his shoulder went bad. But boy, George, when he was good, oh my, was he good. Really good.
And scary, I'm old enough. I saw victory number 30. It was on NBC Saturday's baseball game of the week. Okay, for those who don't know it, we're going to open the phone lines at 4:40. When we go to that break at 4:36, you jump on in. I'll give out the phone numbers. Billy, what do you got for Danny?
Well, I hate to bring it up again, Danny, but with the 21-0 loss to the Padres, the Rockies have lost their 8th game in a row, and they're tracking to be worse than the White Sox last year, which I don't like. All year, I felt like every time you were on, we asked you about the White Sox and does this get better? How does this compare? And that was the worst. But the Rockies could achieve a new low this season. They haven't even played 25% of the season. This isn't good for baseball. I know we've talked about it, but how did it get to this point? And do you see it getting any better anytime soon in Colorado?
Billy, it's a great question. I actually think they're worse than last year's White Sox team. They're historically bad offensively. They're the worst offensive team in the modern era, which is hard to do. I mean, you've got to really be bad. But Bill, the biggest problem is they're not tanking for the first pick. They can't even qualify for the first pick next year. The CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, prevents them as a team that's participated in the early first round for a period of years. The earliest pick they can be next year is 10th. So they can't even get that right. This is significant ineptitude on behalf of their baseball operations staff. It's not a result of a lack of a salary cap. It's not because of the Dodgers. It's not because of all the excuses that people would make up. This is literally the Rockies' own doing. This is a self-inflicted wound. Billy, they're going to be the first National League team in about 40 years to lose 100 games or more 3 consecutive seasons. That is so hard to comprehend. Their nucleus is substandard. Their minor league system is below average. And their use of the system and the way to cultivate players is one of the most blatant indications of not getting it right as a group that I've ever seen in the game's history. And it's a shame, and I'm going to get on my soapbox for a moment. That is an elite ballpark. It's a great city. I lived there for a decade. They deserve better than what they have right now. Wherever you point the finger, just point it at the logo, because they're all guilty. And their guilt, Bill, is not relying on what they say they are. They claim as an organization that they're a scouting and development organization, and they're anything but. They've had a string of first 10 picks, and they have easily the worst collection of major league talent that we can see in the game today. There's not a lot of hope, and there's not a lot to look forward to. And guys, you know, you can make claims, hey, we'll be okay, we'll turn this around. They can't turn this around right now. This is a truck that's backed into a parking spot that can't go into drive. They could easily lose 125 games, and that is a sad statement for the game. And as an organization, they need to fix themselves because this isn't good for the sport.
I forgot to get to this in the update, but the Braves sent Bryce Elder down to Gwinnett about 20 minutes ago. He's put up a 3.10 ERA over his last 5 starts. He had 6 innings of 1-run ball against the Nationals. And in the same amount of starts, he's got better numbers than Roki Sasaki. Danny, do you have any intel on why the Braves did that?
Sure. Sometimes you have to send guys down because they're one of the few guys who have options built. A lot of guys are out of options or have service time, which relegates you to not being able to do it. So in this case, it might be a procedural move, get him off the roster for a short period of time, bring him back at the right opportunity. It's not a demotion based on performance. It's probably a performance, administrative move, and he's probably one of the few guys on their 26-man who can do that. But they're a good story now. They go from 0-7 to right around 500. That's a heck of a climb. And, you know, right now they're going to contend for a wild card spot. We talked about this about a month ago. I'm on the bandwagon, George. You know, I said they're going to get it together, and they most certainly have. And Baldwin is one of the many reasons why they turn this thing around.
Love him. He's the real deal. Okay, we ready to go to the break?
Yep.
Okay. Those of you who want to talk to Danny, and I see a couple of the text questions for him as well, or at least opinions. Here's the phone number if you want to talk to Danny. I need you to jump in quick. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, how else can they reach him?
Chat room is open on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We've got a couple comments. Need a few more for Danny. So get them rolling in on YouTube. You can do it on Twitter and Facebook as well. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, hit the phones. We're back in a moment on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Attention sports fans. The Middle Tennessee Sports Spectacular and Collectibles Expo is set for Friday, May the 16th through Sunday the 18th at the Farm Bureau Expo Center in Lebanon. Former Titans Javon Kearse, Albert Hainsworth and Joey Kent will all be there, and we'll broadcast our show on Friday the 16th. Parking is free. Admission is $10, and I can't wait to meet all of you in Lebanon.
Happen. And I remember people saying, I can't believe the Cowboys would trade him away. The
we'll
Vikings
see what they say
again.
as anything.
And the Cowboys turned all of those picks into teams that won 3 championships in the next 6 years.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back.
Little bump in the road there, guys. Sorry. Wow, poor Kathy. There's construction on the road, and then there's no bump sign. I think we just put it there.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Okay, I'm guessing here because I'm not getting any reaction that we may not have any calls on the line. If you want to talk to Danny, jump in now. I see one real quickly, but we got room for a couple more. 615-553-0933. Eric in Nashville, you're first up on 94.9 The Fan.
Hey, George, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. My call dropped, so I called back quickly. But
quickly.
Danny, I'm going to get to them. I got 3 quick things, and then I'll get off. First of all, the first 2 involve the Reds. And I want to try and be calm and not panic, but even though they won today, they've lost 4 straight series in a row. This is what's concerning to me. And during that 4th series, they got shut out 3 times. In fact, Tim Kircher brought it up last Sunday. Now, we've only been like about a little over the month of the season, and the Reds have been shut out 7 times. And as a Reds fan, that's really, really concerning to me to be shut out that many times this early. I'm hoping they'll get it together, but that still, as a Reds fan, is concerning. The second thing I want to talk about real quick.
Hey, Eric, hold on a second. Yeah. We're watching Danny. He looks like he's on the Flume Zoom.
Oh, the construction here in Ames has been hysterical. I'm so sorry. But we're done now. We're parking.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like your Reds offense right now, Eric.
Yeah. The second thing real quick, and I guess partly, and I was surprised George didn't bring this up, and I thought about it after I got it off. The fact is, and you guys didn't mention the passing of Chet Lemon was number 2. And the third and the third and the last thing, and this, and I talked to George about this earlier this week, and it involved the Reds and the Astros. I guess it was Saturday's game. The Reds won it 13-9, but the real story was Lance McCullers coming back and pitching after being out nearly 3 years. Gave up 7 runs, and the Reds wound up scoring 10 runs in that first win. And I heard that McCullers, him and his family, got death threats after that happened. I thought that was one of the most disgusting things I'd ever heard or seen. The fact that would happen, about a guy who wants to pitch for your team. He'd been gone 3 years. I mean, you got to cut the guy some grace. I mean, sure, it's not the way he probably wanted it, but he hadn't pitched in 3 years, and the fact that he was able to come back, I think that was remarkable. But then for the Houston fans to do what they did to him on social media, I thought was totally disgusting. Guys, we'll get off and let you get some other callers. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Eric. And to be honest, in this new wave where you got a lot more people betting, this is one of the concerns of it.
Yeah, George, those aren't baseball fans. Those are people who are self-centered, who, I know McCullers really well. I've known him since he was a high school kid. He's a wonderful guy. He's got a great family. His mom and dad are terrific people. Do you think a guy goes out there intentionally trying to throw a 7 spot on the board? No. He didn't work 3 years to get back and fail. There's no way. So those aren't baseball fans. Those are just really rotten human beings who, there's a place for those people. I'd like to talk about Eric's Red Legs for a moment.
Okay.
You know, their run differential is actually plus. They're a plus 18 going in today. So that for the fans means you've outscored the opposition by 18 runs, which is generally an indicator of wins and losses. So they are a better club than they've played so far. Their offense has been subpar. 3 or 4 guys have not got going. I still believe in the Reds. I still believe because of Francona. I think they're a better team than they've shown. And I just think it's a situation where they need an extended winning streak like the Twins, like the Royals, like the Cardinals to give themselves the confidence that they're back being a good club.
Because I believe that no matter what they're putting out there, Francona is one of the 5 or 6 best managers in the game.
Oh, no question. He can make hash out of last week's leftovers that you asked for seconds. This guy is a genius. And he manages people, folks, better than any manager I've ever been around. And that's the key when you're, 4 or 5 games under 500. The Reds are better than that. I know they're a little sloppy. They're not good right now. But I think what we'll see is this team get better as the season moves forward. George, honestly, how many wins the division? The Cubbies are going to win 86 to 90 games. The wild card could come out of the Central. Currently, it's going to come out 2 of them from the West, 1 of them from the East. And I hate to say this, Georgie, with your Braves, but I think 83, 86 games is going to put you in the thick of the race.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason why can't the Reds be one of those clubs?
You're right. By the way, they had, I'm told last night, about 3,000 standing room in that massive crowd they had. They had over almost 44,000 in there last night.
Wow.
Tony,
and that's because of the Rose celebration.
Yeah. Tony in Nolensville, you are next up on 94.9 The Fan.
Good afternoon, Billy and George. And as always, Danny, always good talking to you every week.
Hey, Tony, what's up?
Well, what's up? You just touched on them Cubbies, so thank you for letting me know that they're going to win 85, 90 games, 95 games, and going to take care of a Central Division. I love that.
Now, he never said 95.
No, but they are clearly one of the best teams in baseball. And folks, if you haven't seen Armstrong play, what a treat to watch him play center field.
It's pretty amazing. He really is. And it's good to see one of the Vandy boys, Dansby. He's starting to get a little hot. He's going on a good stretch last 3 or 4 weeks. So it's a lot of it's coming together. Of course, Tucker that they got, he's no slouch. I mean, it's a good mixture and a good combination of some veterans and some young guys in there. So yeah, if they can just keep on keeping on, I'm loving it. Danny, I do want to ask you one thing. Well, first I do have one other comment. George, you're going to have Denny McLain on your show. My brothers, 2 brothers, and my dad went to see the Detroit Tigers play a couple of times back in '68. My dad had a friend that was affiliated with the Tigers organization, and they got to go to one of the World Series games. And my dad had a ball gift to him, and it was autographed by the 1968 Detroit Tigers team. And one of my brothers has that ball today. So, there's a lot of Hall of Famers that are on that ball, that are in the Hall of Fame that signed that ball. So I wanted to throw it out there. Danny, I know you're in touch with the professional, MLB, but I want to talk to you on one thing here on the collegiate level. And maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not. But there is a lot of antics that goes on, a lot of what I consider crossing the line with UT and some of the stuff that goes on with them on the field. And how they interact with their opposition and their players. Do you hear through the MLB ranks any talks of what Tennessee, how they play, and anything that how they carry on the field, and Tony Vitello with some of his stuff? Do you hear it in the inner circles that you go? I'm gonna hang up and listen to your answer. Always great talking to you. See you guys.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony, it's a great question. And, it's not just the University of Tennessee. There's other programs who just ramp it up a notch. It's, to me, and I'm the same guy who earlier talked about the integrity of the game. For me, this isn't the Savannah Bananas. This is competitive baseball. The SEC is elite. I mean, absolutely elite. And from a baseball standpoint, I don't like showing up your opponent. I don't like showing up the fans. And I don't like showing up the game. To me, I was around a truly great man for me that I respected immensely in Tommy Lasorda. And he used to always say, act like you've done it before and act professionally. And what I see sometimes at the collegiate level, and it's very occasionally, and what I see trickle down to the high school and youth level is this showing up and demonstrative stuff that I just don't feel comfortable with. And I'm a guy who loves when guys do things at the big league level without going too far. I don't mind Ohtani hitting the bomb the other day and throwing his arms in the air, or Tatis doing some of the things that he does. I absolutely love that. But I don't like when it's all about me. You hit the home run and you run towards the opposing dugout and taunt the dugout. What Tennessee has done and some other programs have done, to me, is going too far. And I'm not going to say there's no place in it, because obviously some people think there is. But I think to do it right and to respect the sport, it's got to be done differently. And I think there are people like myself who are decision makers who see some of those participants and they don't want those guys on their clubs. And you don't really know where the core comes from, but wherever it is, it's just not who you want to be associated with. And I just think the best way is to win with class, because then people just hate you because you're damn better than them. I think that's the best way to win.
Danny, looks like Clayton Kershaw is going to make his debut sometime this weekend. He's a
Saturday.
first ballot. Yeah. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's had a lot of stuff go on in the last 2 or 3 years. What's he got left?
Well, it's not arm related, George. It was back and foot. His arm's in good shape. He's thrown really well in his rehab. For the viewers and the listeners, this is the greatest teammate I have ever seen. He is a phenomenal human being off the field. He and his family, Ellen, his wife, exemplary people. They are the people that you'd love to have Thanksgiving dinner with. They're extraordinary people. First ballot Hall of Famer. I think the best pitcher of his generation. And I think what he has, George, he had some foot issues that needed correction. The elbow, the shoulder, he's totally good. I think what we'll see Saturday, they're playing the Angels. It's at Dodger Stadium as part of rivalry weekend, which is pretty cool concept by Major League Baseball. But I think the neat thing is he wants to go out on his terms. I love him. I personally just love him. I think the world of him, and I would love to see him pitch in October for something that matters, and I truly think he'll be there.
I think you're probably right. Okay, let me do this real quickly. Let me get Pogie in here. And Pogie, give me about 2 minutes if you can with Danny.
I always enjoy it, and Danny, thank you. And I just
it's sad to say that Plaz has not been to Cooperstown. I went, and we're the same age bracket. I went last time for the first time last week, and it's overwhelming because you just mentioned 150 years. This baseball, even 200 years, quite frankly, that we're looking at the basis of baseball. But I just heard you talking about the Rockies. My Brewers, the smallest market team, and I think Anastasio is, you can't keep an Adames, you can't keep that. How can they keep being relevant and make me a fan when I think there's still a chance? And maybe they're in a bad division or the subpar division, so they can compete. But you're talking about, being 5, games over 500 and hoping for the Dodgers and Yankees and Mets are just buying championships. And I'll hang up and listen. First time caller.
Long time.
It's a great question. It's a great question. Mark Antanasio is the owner of the Brewers, one of the best people in the game, an outstanding guy, great owner for the team, one of the best run teams in the game. George, you know this. It's the smallest market of any of the 30 teams, yet a great fan base. Their fans are extraordinary.
Cool
they've
ballpark.
been really rewarded. It is. It's a great ballpark, built by a buddy of mine, actually. And I think what's really cool about it is they find ways to be competitive. They don't use excuses. They're really good. They're led by great people. I think it's just a matter of time before they turn it around. Chorio and Yelich are not hitting, yet they're only 3 games under 500. When they get hitting, which they will, because these are 2 of the best hitters in the game, that club is going to surge towards the top. I still think they're a player for the postseason. I wouldn't lose my hopes. I think that's one of the best run teams in the game.
Bingo. Talk to you next week, and thank you as always.
Thanks, George.
We got the best when we got Danny Evans. The man knows his baseball, and all of you who listen to him know that. After the break, stat of the day, we're 2-1 for the week, trying to go to 3-1. Then we've got a few things we want to get into in the college football world. And then the last pitcher to ever win 30 on the major league level, Denny McLain, will join us at 4:20. He will be part of the Sports Expo that has been advertised on this show over the last couple of weeks. This is 94.9, The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, at their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Attention sports fans. The Middle Tennessee Sports Spectacular and Collectibles Expo is set for Friday, May the 16th through Sunday the 18th at the Farm Bureau Expo Center in Lebanon. Former Titans Javon Curse, Albert Hainsworth, and Joey Kent will all be there, and we'll broadcast our show on Friday the 16th. Parking is free, admission is $10, and I can't wait to meet all of you in Lebanon.
Fire up your future with Busy Bee HVAC. Join us May 31st at 137 Southside Park Drive in Lebanon for an open house like no other. Grilled food, kids games, a bounce house, and our management team ready to meet you and your family. We're searching for 3+ years experienced HVAC and plumbing pros. We pay from $30 to $39 an hour, benefits, paid time off, and more. New to the trades? You're welcome too. Let's build something together at busybeehvac.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
All right, we're talking a little college football coming up before the visit from Denny McLain. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going baseball. Which player has hit the most home runs since the 2024 All-Star break? Last year's All-Star break.
Okay, so the easy answer would be to just run with Aaron Judge. However, I'm going to go off the beaten path to Kyle Schwarber.
You're going to go Schwarber?
Yes.
Okay. You, sir, are incorrect. It is Aaron Judge.
I should get, I don't know, a third of a point for getting close.
You gotta stick with your gut.
Yeah, whatever. You know, if I'd gone with that and it was the other, you'd have ripped me.
You're not wrong.
No, I know that. So
would Kelly
he might have talked me into Aaron Judge. I wonder where Schwarber is on the list, by the way. Wonder if he's even close. So, Billy, here's how times have changed in our world. There used to be, right about now, a time where I would tell listeners, Schwarber third. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't bad. So there used to be a time, you did in the update, that we're 100 days from the start of college football. And in this case, that is Saturday, August 23rd. And I used to tell people, get your pen and pad. I'm going to give out some of the early college football games. And people would do it religiously. This is before the internet. This is before, these gizmos that would tell us all this stuff. Where's the camera? There it is. Whatever. So I took a look at what you probably put in a graphic but can't find. And here goes. So these are some games ESPN announced earlier this week. The season begins. There are about 4 games that are in week 0. Now, why we have a week 0, I don't know, other than it's ESPN and they need programming. So they do this game now every year from Dublin, Ireland. And this year on Saturday, August 23rd at 11 in the morning, you'll get Iowa State and Kansas State. That is your first college football.
That'd be big.
But if you want to see some college football that day in person, go up to Bowling Green. Sam Houston at Western Kentucky. Yeah. Okay, so for the first Thursday of college football, listen to this one. This seems a little early on a Thursday. 4:30 p.m. Nashville time. Boise State at South Florida.
That's a doozy.
Yeah, Boise without Ashton Genty, who is the real deal. What a stud. And then at 8 o'clock, supposedly neutral site in Kansas City, Nebraska and the University of Cincinnati. On Friday, August 29th, Georgia Tech at Colorado. All of these by way of ESPN. The first weekend, week one of college football. Tennessee, Syracuse from Atlanta. Alabama at Florida State. That's an 11 in the morning, by the way, that Tennessee-Syracuse thing. But it's in a dome. And that's a good piece of news in late August. Alabama at Florida State is a 2:30 game down in Tallahassee. Man, that's early to be playing that level of competition. And here's one that I wouldn't mind going to. At 6:30 on ABC, LSU at Clemson.
That's going to be a good game.
Then a doubleheader on Sunday of Labor Day weekend. Virginia Tech, South Carolina from Atlanta. So they got a doubleheader this year on that opening weekend. And by the way, when we get the Dome Stadium built, look for that to happen here. Look for Nashville to host more of those kind of games. The night game, the Catholics versus the Convicts. Man,
I can't wait for that. We got to bring the shirts back.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, and it was probably smart when they did it, when they bagged that series for a while. It got so ugly that they bagged it. And now they're bringing it back. Notre Dame at Miami, which will be in the stadium where the Dolphins play. I'm assuming there's a return match in South Bend. That's likely where it'll really get ugly. And then on Monday night of Labor Day, this one didn't really give me the warm and fuzzies. TCU at North Carolina.
Belichick, tough opening game for Belichick and company if he's still the head coach there.
That's why they did it. I guess, will the girlfriend be the color analyst on the game?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Did you see where he spoke to the team about it?
Yeah, I don't. This doesn't seem like Bill Belichick. I don't know what's gotten into him, but this is. I'm a little worried for him because this doesn't feel like it's going to end well. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. But can you imagine the talk around the North Carolina dorms?
Oh gosh.
Coach is dating a girl that's 50 years younger than him. You don't think they're not saying that?
Oh, they absolutely are. And there's probably a lot of stuff that hasn't come out on this.
Yeah.
That North Carolina has probably held back. But this is a really good, week 0 is week 0. Iowa State, K-State, that doesn't really, I don't think that excites a ton of people.
That didn't float your boat. Yeah, but it will at that point because you will so want football that it will.
Yeah. But I look at Alabama at Florida State, 2:30 that Saturday on ABC, and then LSU at Clemson, 6:30 ABC. I think that's as good of two matchups on the opening Saturday of the season as we've had in a long time, because you look at it, Florida State, this is a huge year for the Seminoles. They've made a ton of changes, new quarterback, new OC, huge year. And then same thing for Clemson. Clemson is they're top 5 in a lot of polls preseason. This Clemson team is going to be pretty good this year. And meanwhile, LSU, Brian Kelly's got some pressure on him. So those are two games. If you're Alabama and LSU, you may want to win. And I think that could have huge playoff implications right off the bat.
Because when you're behind the 8 ball and it's still August, that's not a good sign.
Right. And because, in the SEC, Alabama's going to lose at least one. So is LSU, maybe even multiple. You don't want to get to that third loss. If you win this first game against either Florida State or Clemson, you're in the driver's seat. Because now at that point, you just got to, survive, finish 10-2. You're probably in.
Billy, I love the fact that they're playing those games, those non-conference toughies. But when the SEC goes to 9, you can forget that. It ain't happening. By the way,
yeah.
Let me try to find this again because I lost my place. This is not good. This is where lack of technological skills can get me in trouble. If you go to let me find this again. I'm having some trouble, so bear with me. FBSschedules.com. You can find all this TV stuff. If you really need a college football fix right about now, FBS Schedules, FBschedules.com. And then you just punch it up and it goes week by week. For instance, some other games, the opening that week 0 that I didn't mention, Stanford and Hawaii play, Fresno State and Kansas play. Here's one all of you breathlessly await, UC Davis, Mercer.
Throw out the records when those two play.
See, we didn't always have this week 0. We've had it on the high school level. We have not had it on the college level.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it for the last, how long have we been playing week 0? 3-4 years now?
Yeah.
You're right. Some back at the studio. Billy, did you just say you don't get excited about Iowa State, Kansas State? Yes. But Georgia's probably right. Saturday, like that Georgia Tech. Who did Georgia Tech play? Was that last year? Was it Georgia Tech, Nebraska?
Yeah, Florida State.
Georgia Tech, Florida State.
Yeah.
That game, I mean, we thought Florida State was going to be a playoff team. Little did we know they lose that game and their season goes off the rails. So I think week 0 sort of puts a spell on one of those teams in that game in a weird way. We saw Nebraska lose in their week 0 game a couple of years back, and that was the beginning of the end for Scott Frost. By the way, Trace on YouTube, I can't believe Vandy and Charleston Southern didn't make the list.
No, but I'll tell you what will. The Friday night of Labor Day weekend, Auburn Baylor. There's another one.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good stuff. Georgia Tech, Colorado that we mentioned earlier. I'm just sort of looking at this thing. This is what you do in May when you wish college football were actually here. So we're 100 days from right now.
Yep. 100 days away, and media days, July, it's usually July 15th. I feel like that's the date it always starts. But it's usually that third week of July. And I think it is July 15th, yeah. Or July 14th, I guess. 14th through the 17th is SEC Media Days in Atlanta. We will be down there. That's the unofficial start of the season.
Yeah, and let me tell you what's going to come. I've brought this up before, and I'll bring it up again. Tennessee's Media Day, which I think is the second day, I think it's Tuesday, will be an absolute circus. And if Josh Heupel, it seems to me he's got a choice to make. And the choice to make is to get up there and give an initial statement about the Nico thing and say, I'm not going to take any more questions. I'm tired of talking about it. Let's talk football. Because Billy, even though he'll get criticized for it, if he doesn't do that, that's all he's going to get asked about.
Yeah, and it's not just going to be, hey guys, before you even start asking questions, I'm going to get this out of the way on Nico, because no, they're going to keep coming. And this is a huge season, a big off season for the program. I mean, number one, Joey Aguilar just got on campus. There's going to be a lot of it's going to be all Nico and Aguilar. And you wonder if anything else comes out. And Josh Heupel, he's been good with the media, though. I've been impressed with how he's handled himself in the media. Now, this could be a different animal here. I'm interested to see what he's got prepared. Luckily, he's got plenty of time. But yeah, that is going to be an absolute circus. I don't envy Josh Heupel there, and their SID that is with him. Imagine put yourself in the shoes of their SID, Bill Martin.
Well, let me ask
you, really
this.
good guy.
Do you agree with me that they're going to have a strategy going in to either have an initial comment on it and say, I'm not going to answer anything. I came here to talk football. I just think if they don't do that, that's all he's going to get asked.
I kind of think about the other way around. It was really interesting after the spring game. He was really open in that press conference. You go back and look at that. So I don't know if that was his goal and their public relations goal to basically get a lot of that out of the way, he's still going to be asked about it. But I'll be interested to see if he's that open again at SEC Media Days. Heupel's a guy that has been known to make statements in press conferences, especially post-game press conferences. He could be a little bit of maybe not a hothead, but he's got his way of making yeah. So I would be surprised if it's kind of the other way around, George, like that Heupel is really open about it.
We might talk about it when we reopen the phones today at 4:40. After the break, it's been 57 years since Major League Baseball has had a 30-game winner. That person was Denny McLain. He will be in Lebanon this weekend for the Expo, and we'll be broadcasting from there tomorrow. Denny McLain joins us after the break on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust. Here, to get you there. Member FDIC.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
For Memorial Day, starting as low as $29.99. Installed.
Wow, that's great.
If you're looking at a spa, I want some new patio furniture. Family Leisure has patio furniture from all the big brand names like Hanneman, Woodard, Jensen, and Apricity. There's more than 100 sets on display to choose from with free delivery.
That sounds good to me, too. And maybe a new Sabre infrared grill to go with it?
We really should look at the wood play gym for the kids. Family Leisure has the Diamond Point swing set on sale at only $24.99 installed. It's Family Leisure's vacation at home sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
ESPN Radio lives here. Your sports live here on ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
So back in the early 1970s, there wasn't a whole lot to be excited about as a young Atlanta Braves fan. They basically had two assets, future Hall of Fame pitcher and knuckleballer Phil Niekro, and of course, the late, great Hank Aaron, who was, a year and a half away from catching the Babe in a record that nobody ever thought back then would be broken. But there was a really cool night that I happened to go to, July 4th of 1972, a twilight doubleheader with the Chicago Cubs. The Braves at that time were averaging about 10,000 fans a game, but on this particular night, 50,597 filled Atlanta Stadium. That place hadn't been full, since who knows when, the LBJ administration. The reason is our next guest. The last 30-game winner in Major League Baseball, Denny McLain, who joins us by phone. And by the way, for the record, he got a no decision when the game got rained out in the 8th inning. Denny, welcome to the show.
George, it's nice to be with you. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks. And Cincinnati, one of my favorite towns, not only because of Pete, but I got a lot of family here. So, I got a lot of fondness for this city.
Denny, tell me this. What do you remember about that night?
Well, not a whole bunch. It was the first night back, of course, after I was suspended. And by the way, I got suspended because I threw water on a writer. They threw a whole bunch of reasons up on the board, but the real reason was I hit the wrong writer. In fact, his grandson has been the coach of the Miami basketball team for the last, I think, 5 or 10 years. I can't think of his last name right now.
Eric Spoelstra.
Spoelstra, right? That's his grandson. And the bottom line was the kid's a lot nicer than the grandfather was. That's all I'll say about that. But the night was it's kind of crazy. I'd been working out in the minor leagues trying to get healthy again. My shoulder was killing me because that's the reason I quit the first time. And everybody just kept saying, you got to go back. You got to try it. Well, with all due respect, I could hardly wipe my butt. That's how bad my shoulder was. I tore my rotator cuff just a short time before that. And it was almost impossible to pick up a fork, much less pitch. But I remember the fans. We're walking. Paul Casanova is warming me up, and the catcher with Atlanta at the time. And all of a sudden, people started standing up in the stadium, and we're going across the front of the infield, And I said, geez, who's here tonight? My God, look at the people. I said, they're standing up. There must be a president or a governor or somebody. He says, no, pal, that's for you. I said, no, it's not. I said, come on. I've been gone for 4, 5, 6 months. He says, I'm telling you, that's all they've been talking about for the last 2 months. I said, well, that's very, very nice. I mean, it was just terrific. And I went into the 8th inning. I think I was winning 1-0 going in the 8th inning. And I think Ron Santo hit a bloop double down the right field line, tied the game up. Then it rained like hell, which was okay with me because I felt the bottom falling out that night.
Wow. What does it feel like to know that you're the last major leaguer who will ever win 30 games in a season?
You know, I got to tell you something. I used to think about this a lot. I started thinking about it more since Pete died. I will tell you this, that it's an honor. It's an honor. I carry it. I don't talk about it much. I'll react to some microphones once in a while. But I agree. I don't think anybody will ever win 30 again, especially since they lowered the mountain the 4, 5, 6 inches. And for some reason, they want touchdowns. They don't want shutouts. They don't want 1-0 games. So the whole concept of baseball is taking a change. And it seems like every time we put a new commissioner in, he's a Broadway guy. They want to, putting a guy at second base for no reason. Are you kidding? Why don't we just load the bases in the 10th inning and then let's walk them intentionally? Wouldn't that be a quicker game? Because they're looking for quick games. That's one way to make it quick. Put 3 guys on, first, second, and third, walk the next guy, game's over. I mean, that's how silly this has become. And who knows what else? I mean, they're going to have a miles per hour thing, I guess, coming up in the next year or two. They're going to try to remove the umpires. God, I hope not. I mean, the umpires have given us a lot of entertainment, too. I think you would agree. I mean, and you know what? Was there anything better than watching Billy Martin have an argument, or some of the other crazy managers we've had in baseball going and jumping up and down, throwing dirt on a home plate? That was the part of the overall product. And we don't have that anymore. We got dirty looks now. Just dirty looks. And guys stand there and watch 500-foot home runs go out of the park, which I think really shows a lot of damn disrespect for the hitter. I mean, and I don't think the hitters do it, but it just looks bad. Because when we played, if you had stood at home plate and stared at the home run going out of the park, you did not want to come up the next time. You did not want to come up the next time. And because you have to send a message. You gotta own the plate. You gotta own the plate if nothing else. And this game has changed so dramatically. And I still think they're going to go to 2 strikes one day too. I think they want quick games. I don't know what this whole idea of the quick games is. I mean, the games seem to me to be pretty much under control now. I don't know what they're looking for. The perfect game? That's not going to happen because they don't let these kids pitch.
Denny, I was 9 years old when you won the 30 games, 31 to be exact, and I had the chance to see the 30th victory. It was the Saturday afternoon NBC game of the week. So as a 9 or 10-year-old, I'm not smart enough at that point to understand the significance in a city that had all kinds of riots going on. I've got to believe that was one of the few positives going on in the city of Detroit was your chase.
Well, I will tell you this. A lot of people don't talk about this, but we had dozens of people get killed. We had dozens more get hurt in the hospital for lengthy stays. The town just went up in flames, and it did not get its act back together for probably 5 or 6 months because nobody was going downtown. Everybody was afraid to go downtown. Even for a ball game, they were afraid to go. And thank God we got over that. Thank God that the city has made such a great comeback now. Now, it's still far from perfect, but it's about 30% better than it used to be. They've taken care of buildings. They've taken care of filthy streets. They have knocked down 30,000 houses, George. They've knocked down 30,000 houses. and they're selling the lots to people who want to buy a house, and they need a little help with the financing. I mean, so we've made a lot of contact in Detroit, and when I'm on the road, I'm the biggest defender of the city of Detroit. When I'm at home, that gives me the right to rip them when I see something I don't like. So with not having to be in a position of kissing the asses of the Tigers, I'm in a pretty good position there at this point in time, because I can tell them how I feel, and I can tell them how I feel when I'm on the road, and that goes a long way with telling the truth about where this city has been and where it's going to be.
When you all won it in '68, it was sort of, ballyhooed as Denny McLain versus Bob Gibson, two pitchers that had unbelievable years. That was a great World Series, wasn't it?
It sure was. And I wish I'd have pitched better, but it was not to be. I will tell you this: Gibson pitched the finest game I've ever seen anybody pitch, with the exception of one guy, Dean Chance. Dean Chance one night stymied us like you just wouldn't believe. All he did, I threw the glove out there, and the game was over that night. But Gibson had this crazy pitch, and none of us. It just looked like a flat slider, and I mean, it was really flat. And when K-Line saw it the first time up, he said, "Oh, we'll crack him. He's not going to get us out with that garbage." And 17 strikeouts later, we're still talking about not getting put out by this pitcher and this right-hander who was throwing the ball. He was throwing this damn flat slider, but he was throwing it at about 105 miles an hour. I mean, and you've got something moving that far, that hard, and disappearing so quick as soon as it gets near the plate, nobody's going to hit it. And we certainly didn't do it that day. And if it wasn't for Kurt Flood missing a fly ball and some guys not sliding, we probably wouldn't have won the World Series either. But you know what? Like I've always said, we make our own breaks, and we made our own in the seventh game that season.
Denny, the reason it's so easy to say, well, there'll never be a 30-game winner again in Major League Baseball is with the 5- and 6-man rotations. No pitchers are getting more than 30, maybe 32 starts. Is that the right thing? Is that the right recipe?
George, I'm glad you brought that up. I got to tell you something. Nobody knows how to pitch if you don't pitch 9 innings. There's a different pitching that takes place the first 5 or 6 innings of the game, and pitching the last 3 or 4 innings with a lead. That's a whole different. It's 2 different games. That's the way I looked at it. It's the way Mickey Lolich, Gibson, we all talked about it from time to time. But the last 3 innings, that's when the game starts. And too many of these kids, and kids with pretty good arms, they're not getting the opportunity to really be able to star in the way we'd all like to see them star. I mean, we got some pretty good arms, and what happens when they throw a couple pitches too many, we believe, they get a sore arm. They hurt themselves. They do this, they do that. So baseball has got it wrong right now. What they need to do is go back to the old school. Send them to the minor leagues for 3-4 years. Let them get in pitching shape. No one is in pitching shape when they get there anymore. They all want to throw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. I got news for you. There is not a major league player that can't hit a fastball. I mean, please, it's like chocolate milk, for God's sakes. I mean, there's nobody in the big leagues that can't hit a fastball. And, I think they prove it every night with the number and the distance of some of these home runs. That Judge with the Yankees, my God. I mean, I think we need to start testing his urine.
The last 30-game winner in Major League Baseball, Denny McLain, is on the line with us. Some of you will get the chance to meet him over the weekend in Lebanon. Denny, I'm looking forward to meeting you because we're going to do our show there tomorrow. So you're going to get asked this 100 million times as you sign autographs and talk to people. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask it. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
I had a different answer for everybody yesterday, but I really thought about this in a hard way because I know I was going to go through Cincinnati today, and that's where I am right now on the way to Nashville. And I got to tell you, if they're going to let Shoeless Joe Jackson in, who I never saw play, and some of these other guys, you might as well let everybody in. So that the Hall of Fame has no value anymore, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I don't get it. It is, you know, I wish I could really tell you what I feel, because I just think this commissioner's done a horrible job. And, you know, look at the manager we have in Detroit. This guy cheated for 3 and 4 years. 3 and 4 years. And he's got a job in Major League Baseball. He's in first place this year. He's made a hell of a comeback, and I congratulate him on the comeback. But you know what? The guy cheated 3 and 4 years. Pete gets suspended. Pete gets thrown out of the game, and this guy gets a 5-year contract. You tell me. Somebody figure it out for me, because it's way above my pay education.
Okay, Billy, I know you never got to see Denny McLain pitch, but you got time for a couple of questions. Go.
Denny, appreciate you taking the time. In the 60s and good. In the 60s and early 70s, think about hitters like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, Carl Yastrzemski. You can go down the list. It got me thinking, who's the toughest hitter you ever faced?
Well, you're gonna have a tough one with this one. I always said, this comes from my dad. My dad died when I was 13, but one of the things he told me when I was just learning how to pitch was never let the big guy hit you. That way you don't ever have to tell anybody who was the best hitter you ever faced. I said, what do you say? Say that again? And he had to say it 1,000 times before he died to me. And I finally got it one day, because I had Tony Oliva, who I thought was the best hitter I ever saw in baseball at the time, American League outfielder with the Minnesota Twins. And he come up, and literally the bases were loaded. There were 2 outs, and I had a 2-run lead, and I walked him on purpose and got the next guy out and won the ball game 3-2 or 4-3. I mean, so it's if I had to pick a guy, probably Oliva would be the best hitter. And I'll tell you another guy who hit me pretty hard. I just can't believe I'm going to tell you this one. Boog Powell. I just don't get it. How the hell can Boog Powell hit 400 against me? I mean, I just can't get over it, and still eat all that roast beef he eats every day. I mean, he kills me. In fact, one of the famous moments in my career in '68, I got bases loaded in the first inning. I walked a guy, hit a guy, and an error at third base. Bases loaded, nobody out. Mayo Smith comes out to the mound and says, "How do you feel?" I said, "How do I feel?" I said, "Boy, you're missing a hell of a game if you're not watching. The bases are loaded, Mayo." He says, "I know it." He said, "I'm going to take you out." I said, "No, you're not. I'm not giving you the ball." All he had to do was ask the umpire for another ball. And I'll move this along for you. So he says to me, "Well, I want the ball." He says, "Okay." I said, "The hell with you. I'm not giving you the ball." And he said, "But I want the ball." I said, "Listen, let's be fair. Ask Freehand how my stuff is today." That was our catcher. So he turned to Freehand. He said, "Bill, how's his stuff?" He says, "Mayo, how the hell would I know? I haven't caught a goddamn thing yet."
Gosh.
So Mayo just walked off the field. Now let me tell you what happens. Boog is the hitter. I got the ball right where I wanted to. I'm lying there because the ball was right down the middle of the plate, and he hits a line drive back at me. Just a routine triple play. I throw to second. Ray Euler throws to first. Triple play. I went in the dugout and I said, "Mayo, you ever come out to that mound again, I'm going to knock you on your ass." And that was in. Mayo never came out to the mound again.
That's funny.
All right. Last thing from me, saw here where you played for the Braves in 1972, your final season in the big leagues, if I'm not mistaken. What do you remember about your time in Atlanta and some of your teammates? Because George might know, but I wouldn't know who was on that team.
Yeah, well, we had Hank Aaron. That's number one. Paul Casanova, Darrell Evans. Darrell Evans hit 40 home runs when he turned 40 years old. Darrell Evans was one hell of an underrated baseball player, but Hank got all the publicity there anyway. I mean, and favorably so. I mean, he really was. Daryl Book's a good player. Ralph Garr and the guy who has been managing Cincinnati. What's his name? The outfielder was Cincinnati. I forget who he's managing now. Black left fielder. I can't remember his name. Yeah, I can't remember.
Dusty
his name.
Baker. Dusty Baker.
Dusty Baker. God. Oh man, don't let him know I didn't know his name. He'd kill me. He could play. Him and Ralph Garr were the two funniest baseball players when they were on the field that you've ever met in your life. They did all kinds of tricks in the outfield. They screamed and hollered. They screwed each other up once in a while. I mean, it was great entertainment besides great baseball.
Denny, I look forward to meeting you tomorrow. Thank you for taking the time to come on with us.
It's my pleasure, George, and I look forward to all you people get in your car and come see me. We're giving a lot of free stuff away over the weekend, so please come see us.
That's Denny McLain. He is the last major league pitcher to ever win 30 games in a season. He was 31-6 in 1968. Wow. Okay, we're going to go to the break, and then I'm just going to throw the phones open. You take it wherever you want to take it. I don't care, as long as it's sports. 615-553-0933. That's our phone number. It's been a crazy Thursday so far on the show. So hit the phones. Let's end it in style. This is 94.9, The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Attention sports fans, the Middle Tennessee Sports Spectacular and Collectibles Expo is set for Friday, May the 16th through Sunday the 18th at the Farm Bureau Expo Center in Lebanon. Former Titans Javon Curse, Albert Hainsworth, and Joey Kent will all be there, and we'll broadcast our show on Friday the 16th. Parking is free, admission is $10, and I can't wait to meet all of you in Lebanon. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Flat Rock Motor Club is a members-only driving resort combining a world-class racetrack with exquisite amenities. Located on 800 acres of pristine countryside in the heart of Tennessee, their elite 3.5-mile club track is surrounded by sweeping views of manicured rolling hills. The charm of Tennessee can be felt with every hill you climb. Whether your beverage of choice is sweet tea or whiskey, At their premier driving resort, you will experience a sophisticated blend of country elegance and southern hospitality. For more information, log on to flatrockmotorclub.com.
Shane Waldron for a franchise that has not developed a quarterback in literally 100 years? No, you would not. And so now they're getting exactly what you saw coming.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably haven't. Just log on to the information superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password, we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back. We'll head to the phones here in just a second. Billy, you asked about the dreaded 72 Atlanta Braves who didn't have a lick of pitching, but they had three players who hit 40 or more homers. Darrell Evans, Davey Johnson, later the manager of the Mets, and Hank Aaron. So they did have, they were at least not dull. So Darrell Evans later finished his career as a Detroit Tiger, and as Denny McLain said, had a great career in Detroit, had a 40-homer year when he was age 40. Very close to a Hall of Famer, probably more unbelievably good, but not great as in Hall of Fame great. Darrell Evans comes to Nashville in the winter of 1972. And my dad took me to the Braves caravan stop where I got a picture made with Darrell Evans. Fast forward to 1980, either 4 or 85. The Tigers played an exhibition game against their AAA affiliate, the Nashville Sounds. I find the picture. So I go down on the field and I meet Darrell Evans, and I said, Darrell, you know, I'm involved in the Sounds broadcast, but I've got something you need to see. And I pull this picture out that was like 12, 13 years before that. And he takes a look at it and he goes, oh my God, burn it.
That's funny.
I didn't burn it, but I have no idea where it is now. Sean in Cleveland is up first. Sean, is that Ohio or Tennessee?
That would be Tennessee, George. Last time I spoke to you guys on YouTube, I was in Biloxi today. We had 7.5 inches of snow on the ground.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The first time in 62 years they had that kind of winter, and that had just happened, of course, to be the winter I was there. That's why I went there, is to get away from that.
Yeah, I believe it.
Do you remember, well, this is not why I called, but do you remember who the catcher was on that 84 Sounds team?
Matt Noakes.
Bob Melvin.
Really?
Yes, sir. He was in the Tigers organization at that time, and then he went to the Giants after that.
He's had a pretty good career, hadn't he?
Not as a player, but certainly as a manager.
Certainly as a manager.
Some of my summers were in San Francisco back then. My mom was living out there, so I got very familiar with that Giants team. So, yeah, he's had quite a managerial career. As you can tell, I'm a big baseball fan. I tried to get in earlier with Danny. I want to make a couple of quick points on the Pete Rose situation.
Okay.
I'm frankly sick and tired of the whole Pete Rose discussion. This is about far more than Pete Rose and his gambling to me. This is about the reported sexual relations with underage girls, the prison time, the tax evasion, the shady characters that he was hanging around with, even back in the 70s, that people knew about and chose to do nothing about. And it's my contention that if those things had been dealt with then, he would have never gotten the hits that he got. And it's also, we should point out that the last 3 years that he played, he was also the player manager, and he was writing himself into the lineup, probably at the detriment of younger players getting an opportunity to play. So he got those hits. So to me, I get a little irritated with people trying to take the position that because baseball's taking gambling money from DraftKings and FanDuel, we should just throw open the doors of the Hall of Fame and let him in. The best thing to me that Rob Manfred could have done is just let this thing die with Pete Rose and just kept his mouth shut. And that's my point. But now that it's done, let's let the committees have their say. Because I agree with Danny. I don't think he's going to get in, not in mine in your lifetime, and I'm much younger than you are.
Wow. So let me ask this question. Let's say I'm on the other side of this. Shouldn't baseball, to remove itself from the conversation, not take gambling money?
I'm not saying that they shouldn't take gambling money. I'm not saying that at all. They probably should. All sports probably should if they want to stay on the up and up. But, you know, you have a segment at the end of the show. Of course, you and I can do it because I go on DraftKings and make my daily fantasy lineup every night too. But that's neither here nor there. We won't go down that road because we can take that money. We're not going to be thrown on some ban list.
Okay, I got you. Appreciate it.
I'm not disagreeing with you that baseball probably shouldn't. My point is now that Rob Manfred's opened it up, let's let the committees have their say, and they can decide. And I happen to agree with Danny. I do agree that at some point he will go in. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but I do think it's going to be tougher the further we get away from it because you saw him play. I saw him at the end. I became a big Braves fan in 1982. And I listened to all my games on the radio because I'm blind, so that I don't watch them on TV. I think I listened to some guy by the name of George Plaster called Vandy games in the 90s, him and Ron Bargatze, my man Ronnie B. And I've got something for him when the insiders come back around. So I'll call back then. Y'all have a great evening. I'll keep listening, and thank y'all for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Billy, what's the breaking news?
Well, how about this? According to John Rothstein, Tennessee and Illinois are finalizing an agreement to meet on December 6th at Bridgestone Arena.
So this has been rumored now for a while. Let me do the calendar check here real quick, because Gonzaga and Kentucky will play on the 5th, and it appears that Tennessee and Illinois are going to play on the 6th. What a weekend of college basketball in this city. Think about that. 4 teams that I think you could argue are top 20 kind of teams: Kentucky, Gonzaga, Tennessee, Illinois. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, and you know, I know there's some Tennessee fans out there that, and probably some Memphis fans out there that wish this was Memphis, but I don't think there's a ton of interest on the Tennessee side of things in testing out the Memphis waters again after what happened last time they attempted to play.
Well, I don't think they'll ever play again as long as Rick Barnes is the coach.
Yeah, that he was not happy about that, as he should have been.
Interesting.
But
okay.
As part of that story, according to Rothstein, there will be a return game at the United Center in Chicago at a later date.
Which is interesting because Tennessee played in Champaign, Illinois last season.
Yeah, I mean, this is about money, obviously, but
wow.
I'll be interested to see, comparing Bridgestone and the United Center, who gets more people in there.
Well, the United Center holds about 7,000 more for hockey. There is an absolutely enormous standing room only area at the top of that. I mean, it is cavernous. I've been in there. Willie and I actually did a show in there around a Preds Chicago Blackhawks playoff game. Okay, interesting news. Thank you for sharing it. We'll go to our final break, and then Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
Caleb Williams wanted to go to Washington and didn't want to go to Chicago. Now you're seeing why. This thing is a disaster because everyone saw it coming. If you were a quarterback and you had all the talent in the world, would you want to go pay for Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron for a franchise that has not developed a quarterback in literally 100 years? No, you would not. And so now they're getting exactly what you saw coming.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
Micah Parsons get you a king's ransom. I'm old enough to remember the Herschel Walker trade. I was working in the media when it happened. And I remember people saying, I can't believe the Cowboys would trade him away. Oh, the Vikings will never lose again. And the Cowboys turned all of those picks into teams that won 3 championships in the next 6 years.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app. You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
Caleb Williams wanted to go to Washington and didn't want to go to Chicago. Now you're seeing why. This thing is a disaster because everyone saw it coming. If you were a quarterback and you had all the talent in the world, would you want to go pay for Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron for a franchise that has not developed a quarterback in literally 100 years? No, you would not. And so now they're getting exactly what you saw coming.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
Micah Parsons get you a king's ransom. I'm old enough to remember the Herschel Walker trade. I was working in the media when it happened. And I remember people saying, I can't believe the Cowboys would trade him away. Oh, the Vikings will never lose again. And the Cowboys turned all of those picks into teams that won 3 championships in the next 6 years.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Thursday. It's been a quick week. We've got some more NHL, NBA action rolling along tonight. We'll see where George is going with Bet of the Day, brought to you by Burt Durham Injury Law. We take a look first, though, at what happened last night. As I find this graphic, it takes forever for these.
Kelly would be all over you.
Whatever.
So we were 1-1 last night.
1-1 last night. Boston won. Toronto lost.
Okay. Going with 2 games tonight. First of all, in the hockey. A lot of you won't agree with this. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. This is a hunch. Winnipeg is going to force another game. Tonight, they're in Winnipeg. That's Winnipeg and Dallas. And Winnipeg is a slight favorite. I think only because they're at home do I think they're going to win. I'm taking JETS, Jets. Here's one I feel a little better about. Even though they're down 3-2, Denver has really had some moments in this series. They need to play a little smarter as far as resting the starters around dead ball timeouts, so that in the fourth quarter, they don't die on the vine. If they'll do that tonight, not only will they cover, but they'll force a Game 7. I'm taking the Nuggets plus the 5. Tomorrow we are in Lebanon, broadcasting live from the Sports Expo. Looking forward to hearing from former Titans and former University of Tennessee players Joey Kent and Albert Hainsworth. Billy, good night.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.